I know last time was my last live, but for those of you who did tune into those lives, I'm gonna go ahead and give away. I kind of gave it away in a sense, as I was out there in Arkansas, Tennessee. It was basically Memphis and West Memphis, and I'm gonna have a talk about my experience of being out there for damn near close to 8 months and all that happened to me out there. Um, and I'll leave it to that. But as for today's discussion, what I'm going to talk about, as you've seen in the title screen, is connection, and then, of course, the hybrid dilemma. I'll start by starting off with the connection. Now, what I mean by FBA connection is that as foundational Black Americans, which by all means, there's only a small group of us left that are at least close to 100 or 100, meaning we're full. I'll just say we're full. Why I say that is because I've been traveling throughout states, seeing different phenotypes in the mixed breed versions and the ones who are more uh, a full foundational Black American, not a half. Now, if you see my other was uh, post, so I put my 2 cents in and I said what I considered what was. But anyway, why I say that is because just like when I was in California, I'm originally from California. I said way before they even realized this that the population out there was changing. The Mexican population outgrew the Black population, and then it outgrew the white population. Then all of a sudden, the Asian, Middle Easterns, Orientals, American Asian, whatever you want to call them, outgrew the Black population. And and then at that point, I was like, okay, this is a pattern. And when I went down south, now I see these same groups, Mexicans, Asians, starting to grow. It's basically the same tactic. And if you're from Cali, you know that this is by far horrible for as being a Black person. But anyway, with the connection that I'm talking about, I think of it like this. Think of it like chocolate milk. When you need to make chocolate milk, you have chocolate syrup and then you have milk. The chocolate syrup is considered the foundational Black American, and the milk is considered all the other. So you put the chocolate syrup in the milk. You put it in the glass. You pour the milk, pour a little bit of milk. All of a sudden, it's no longer that dark chocolate. Now, some people will then pour some more chocolate and then they'll put some milk back in. You'll keep on getting these mixtures, but you'll never get the original. Now, you can pour a bunch of chocolate in and try to get it darker to get it back to the original, but you won't be able to because the milk has now diluted it. So you're never really connected anymore. And why I say that is for those who are supposedly half or whatnot. The reason why you're not connecting as someone who is similar to me or whatnot is because you no longer have that connection, or your connection is very small. You cannot connect on a level of uh, those who are full. And I say this simply because um, it I guess people would consider this a spiritual journey or whatnot, but I've ran into individuals who said they're talking about their ancestors and they're trying to connect with their ancestors and they're supposedly They consider themselves, they identify as black, but they're mixed breeds or they're quarter breeds or they're 10%. And it's like, motherfucker, your ancestry is not the same. You may have little, but the fact that you've been mixed out, meaning you have less of a connection to America, to this foundation, this location than we do. And simply say that is we all know that us as foundational black Americans are different from the diaspora, because the one thing that we have is something special that we didn't flee, we fought, and we made tons of changes throughout the world. Our influence, our help, or whatever made tons of influence throughout the world. And so it's like, okay, you're looking at us as if you dislike us, you hate us, or you're jealous of us, whatever. And some who think that they're this, or they try to claim it, or they're saying that they're half, or this and that. Uh, how many Hellcats have you stolen? Hilarious. But anyway, they think that we're this and that, but it's like, motherfucker, we are the foundation. We are the blood, sweat, and tears of this land. The red natives, they ran, they fled, and they never came back. So, by all means, when I meet people who think that they're a part of our ancestry and they're either caramel skin, even till now, I look at some who are even the brownish or brown skin or dark brown skin. I've realized over the years after traveling that that doesn't mean they're actually black. They could have mixed, their parent or lineage could have mixed with somebody of another melanin. And thus, because our phenotypes, our genetics are more stronger throughout mixtures, except for when it comes to like Middle Easterns, you'll know when it's a black person and a Middle Eastern that made it and created offspring, because the the genetics kind of conflict a bit. So sometimes you'll see it. Look at the noses. Look at the noses and look at the facial features. You'll be able to tell. Anyway, when those individuals start to claim that they have ancestry out here, I'm like, okay, but it's not a strong connection. I related to like Dragon Ball Z. I wanted to relate this to Dragon Ball Z because I go up to the GT series. What I'm gonna say is when they were able to go Super Saiyan 4 or whatnot. Uh, Actual foundational black Americans, ones who are, they got both sides of their parent lineage is foundational, and nowhere is there any type of bloodline that is not black and foundational that came in their bloodline to then eventually create them. So you can go through their history and everything is black. That's how you know it's a complete foundational black American. Of course, then you got those where this is where I indicate the chocolate milk thing. My chocolate milk theory is there are individuals who then had maybe some non-black person, non-foundational black person enter in, like a white man, a Asian, a Mexican, a Middle Eastern, a Hawaiian, whatever, entered in, created an offspring with someone that was foundational, and then that tainted the bloodline. So now the bloodline is tainted, and then that offspring later decided that they wanted to mix back into black, and they may have went with a foundation, or they may have went with African American or African, and then they mix back in. So then you're getting this whole mixing in, mixing out, or mixing completely out, or mixing back in. But you look at the bloodline, and somewhere in there it's tainted. So how I relate that is Dragon Ball Z. Goku and Vegeta. They are both full-blooded Saiyans. As you can see, Goku was able to obtain Super Saiyan 4 naturally. Vegeta, he wasn't able to obtain it naturally, but eventually he was able to obtain it in some way or form. That tells you that I use it for us as foundational Black American, for a society. As foundational Black Americans, there are individuals who can obtain a level of connection with nature, the world, the universe, all beings naturally. And then there's those who can't get quite there. They can get close, but they would have to do a little bit extra just to get to that point. Then, as Goku and Vegeta had offsprings, their offsprings, which was Trunks and Gohan. I'm not going to name Goten, but Goten was in there. Trunks and Gohan. Trunks and Gohan, they were offsprings of full-blooded Saiyans, but now they're half Saiyans. They were Saiyan slash half human. When they were only able to go up to about Super Saiyan 2 and a little bit extra, meaning their connection wasn't as great anymore. The full-blooded Saiyans were able to go all the way to Super Saiyan 4. The half ones were only able to go to Super Saiyan 2 and maybe extra, depend. And then what happened? You then look at Gohan. He had offspring, which was Pan. And what is Pan? Pan would be then considered like a 25% breed and down, even close to 10% breed, but 25% breed and down. And what happened with her? She could not go Super Saiyan at all, but she was able to power up. And as it gets more and more diluted, how you doing? Who said, hey, as it gets more and more diluted, the less and less connection that that person will have to nature or to the universe or to the world or whatnot. And and if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I'm talking on foundational Black Americans and the connection that we have to this planet, being the original people. And even though it's a diaspora of Black people, we are unique among that diaspora because what we've been able to achieve and do. So we're a little bit different than, we're a lot of bit different than all the rest of the other Black individuals who have African phenotype, Black phenotypes. So that's what I'm talking about, uh, and connection. And so thus Pan wasn't able to, and I'm relating this, uh, uh, kind of connecting it or giving you, I'm trying to think of a word, an analogy of using Dragon Ball Z all the way up to GT, pretty much. And so, as you can see with Pan, Pan wasn't able to go Super Saiyan at all. The connection was a lot less. And then as you get further and further, the 10% breeds, it's nothing. But then if you mix back in, Black people are not the original people. Yes, they are. Look it up. But as you then, um, as you then mix on to the 10% breeds and more, though it's less and less of a connection. So then you're less connected. Less things are connected to that individual. But that's what I mean by foundational Black connection, is that some people, like I said, currently it's funny how we're now delineating, which I pretty much said some things like this back in like 2016 and saying we need to clean house. And I know Tariq is kind of heading the forefront of the delineation, but I was talking about something similar to this by saying clean house of our own group over the years. But a lot of us uh, didn't like want to do that, and now look at where we're at currently, where we got so many. And even with the stats, if you look at blackdemographics.com, I do not Like I stated when I was in Cali, when people were thinking it was a bunch more white people at the time, and I was like, I'm out here in Cali traveling around, and I live out here, and I know that it's a bunch of more Mexicans. And I'm like, why thinking that it's like this? It's a lot of, until they did the study, and then they found out that Mexican population outnumbered the white population, and I was like, hell. Now, throughout my travels, because I've been traveling 5+ years now, uh, and I've been seeing that um, as for when it comes to us, uh, as when it comes to us and train wreck, no, go study, go do some history. That's all I'm gonna say. But hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. But uh, as when it comes to traveling throughout here, I've noticed that there are not too many black people anymore. Back then, this is during my dad's era. Back then, there was a lot less of these other groups: Mexicans, Middle Easterns, Asians, Hawaiians, such and such. And it was pretty much like white and black during that time period. So it was easier for my dad, being out in the South, to find someone who was foundational black American. Nowadays, it's not as easy. I remember when I came out South during like 2018, 2019, it was a lot of black people. Now, coming to this time period, it's like the Mexicans, the Middle Easterns, the Asians start migrating heavily out here. Even the Africans, I'm seeing a lot of them out in these states, especially in my parents' home states. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening? It's starting to look similar to what happened out in New York back when it was Malcolm X and Martin Luther King's era, where it was a lot of foundational black Americans that were in New York. And because of the hype and what had happened out there and the popularity, a lot of Africans, a lot of other groups start flooding that state, and then they damn near mixed the motherfuckers out, or now made them like more African or African Americans, not foundational black Americans. There are rarely any of them out there. This is why everybody knows that if somebody says they're from New York, we know damn well that their original background, their lineage is not tied to America, is usually in Africa or somewhere else, because that's what they've been doing. And now currently they're doing that to all the other southern states: Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, so forth and so on. They're starting to flood these states in heavy. And the bad thing about it is, because I've noticed with uh, various black foundational women, and nowadays, this is over the years, of the course of the years that I've seen, but nowadays there's so few of us left. But I noticed with them, they were always choosing to get with either Africans or African Americans, or damn near mate completely out. One moment, it's a plane. Hold on. So they were, it's past. So they were choosing to deliberately mate out the stats. And this is, it's funny because I've been looking up this. I'm gonna do it live. I got another phone. I'm gonna show you what I was looking up way back then. It's a guy named Median Man, who now created a YouTube some years back. And before he even was on YouTube, I had already did some research like this and found out black American men, foundational black American men, weren't having children like that. Or black men in general weren't having children like that. And thus you were wondering, where will all the children come? Because they were creating mixed breeds. And as now everybody knows, is that black women are the ones who are creating all these mixed breeds, all the ones you be seeing around, these half ones, these quarters, these 10%. The 10% has increased like ridiculous amount. What are you talking about? Rewind the tape and you'll catch on. But so I've noticed that going throughout these states that it's been an uptick of a lot of either mixed breeds and a lot of other groups that have flooded into the southern states and started to basically take over and mix out or dilute the black population. And because our females, our women typically choose to go for other and whatnot, it's further mixed it out. And this is why, unfortunately, it is very difficult. Unlike for my dad, it's very difficult for me to find somebody. There's literally not a lot of them left. And then you have some who pretend to be, they identify as black, but you damn near see that this motherfucker's mixed. And then as for if you want to find out, I remember in Memphis, I know I'm jumping, but I remember in Memphis I was talking to somebody and I was like, okay, what are you? And she literally said, because she assumed that I was African, but she didn't really ask. She was part black or foundational. And I was like, okay, cool. What are they doing? But anyway, I know I went off on a tangent, but anyway, I do that often, so don't trip. It's not like I'm used to these lies or very adept with these lies, but if you tuned in earlier, you'll see what I was going, where I said foundational Black American connection. And this is basically connection to nature and how everything is starting to get diluted for us as foundational Black Americans, to where all these other groups are starting to go into our our original location, which is the South. For a lot of us, it's the South. Now, you got motherfuckers who can say they're native, but they're not actually foundational because they'll say they're native, they were born out here, but they're not, their family is not from out here. But yeah, anyway, that was on foundational Black American connection. I also mixed the hybrid dilemma, which is the mixed breeds believing that they want to claim one, but you know they're not that. I remember being on TikTok and there was this woman. She was like, "I'm black," and blah blah blah, and damn near she was one of the light brights. She had damn near white skin with some black phenotypes, meaning nose, lips, body type, whatever, and she was claiming black. And I'm like, I was in the chat saying, I know you want to identify as black, but you are not black. You damn near got white skin at this point. You're a 10% breed. You're a light bright. You're a mixed breed. I say light bright instead of mixed breed because at that point, if you got white skin, you're damn near almost made it out. They pretty much got you out. And 10% breeds don't just mean the light brights, meaning they're close to white. 10% breeds can also mean the Mexican, the Middle Eastern, the other individuals who have the melanin. You'll start to see as they mix out their skin tone, or not their skin tone, but their phenotypes will start to fade because they're mixing out with those groups. This is where I tie it right back into the whole chocolate milk situation, where you have a glass, you pour some chocolate, the chocolate is black, or as I say, foundational Black American, and then the milk, which is the white milk, which is everything that is not foundational Black American. That means white people, Asian, Middle Eastern, Hawaiians, anything that is not foundational Black American. You pour it into the glass with the chocolate syrup, and then now it's become chocolate milk, and it's that brownish, light brownish, no longer the dark chocolate color, it's the light brownish color. And then you decide, oh, that offspring decides, hey, I want to mate again outside, and then you pour some more milk. It lightens up the brown. Then that next offspring says, nah, I want to mate back in. So then you pour some chocolate, and then, so it's never the original. It's now diluted, and as I call it, tainted. You're now tainted. So your connection to the ancestry, to nature, is now so diluted, you're no longer able to do so. That's for the ones who've been so diluted. And if you look at my channel, I show it's on Tik or on my short of an actual diluted individual. It's on the one. It's the one about the clone Tyrone. I have a short that says clone Tyrone about the eugenics thing that happened. And on one of the pictures, I have both a female and a male. I have the 10% breed of the female who's been very diluted, and the original breed, and then I have the male version, which is a 10% breed. Well, I wouldn't even say he's a 10% breed. He's so diluted where he has blonde hair but black phenotype features with white skin, and it's a real thing. Go ahead, look at my short. You'll see it. He's also on TikTok, so you can find him on TikTok. I don't know if I have his username on there, but he looks like the whole little skit what Dave Chappelle did, where he's painting his skin white or putting a little makeup to make himself look white. He looks like a black white person. I know it's weird to say, but a black white person. But this is what I'm talking about, is it's been so diluted that you no longer are connected. You are just like all the other non-foundational Black Americans, where you don't have that connection anymore. But yeah, and then the ones who are like half breed, maybe you had a foundational Black American who then decided to mate out, then you're like, as I put it with the Dragon Ball Z, this is me making a full circle so you understand what I'm talking about to drive the point, is with the Dragon Ball Z. Goku and Vegeta, their child, they had the half breed Gohan and Trunks. And Goku had two, so it was Gohan, Goten, and then Vegeta, Trunks. Both of these children were able to go to Super Saiyan a lot faster than what Goku and Vegeta were able to do, and they were full-blooded. But they were able to do so because it was like being a boost. But after that, they were only capped out to Super Saiyan 2. They can't go beyond that. But the full-blooded, the foundational part of the full-blooded Saiyans, were able to go beyond Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4, and so forth. But yeah, that's what I mean for foundational Black American connection. As for the hybrid dilemma, I say similar to that is where y'all are in this state, especially since foundational Black Americans have now decided to delineate, even though there's so small, there's very few of us left, and very few that of us who actually care and who are looking for other foundational Black Americans, and who are not in the ratchet and hoe type culture and don't give a fuck. Like I said, I'm gonna do another video based off of every state that I've been to and how I was treated throughout those states. So stay tuned for that. I'm gonna do a live. I'm fuck doing the video. I'm tired of doing edits and all that other shit. It's just bullshit, especially since not a lot of people then tune in. or it takes a while for a lot of them to look at it. So I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna simply do this. But anyway, with that being said, the hybrid dilemma is pretty much. I said this a long time ago. I called it confusion. They're now mixed. They have a breed. Their one side is oppressed, the other side is not oppressed. Thus, they have to end up. They usually end up with that universal mindset where they're trying to say, "Ah, oh, let's make everybody happy," or the whole when they were talking about the blue lives or everybody's life matter, when ultimately during that time period the only people who were getting harmed were black people. And so it's like, okay, make that make sense. But yeah, they have a dilemma, a confusion, or whatnot, and thus they want to be placed in one group. And back then in the day, not currently, because now currently the mindset of them have changed. Back then in the day, the mixed breeds would always try to uh, be with their other side and say, hey, we care about our other side more than the black side. And so the other sides, they were always keeping y'all at a bay or yeah, at a distance, and not really saying you're white or you're Asian or you're this and that. And so thus you ended up having to opt out to black side. And so it's like, but anyway, that's pretty much all I had to say on that. And I know nowadays for me, it's even harder, especially being out here in the South and trying to find a black female that is interested. I've realized that a lot of them, like, it's a lot of incest going on out here because a lot of black females, they choose the same motherfuckers and be fucking the same motherfuckers. You'll be surprised. Like I said, I'm gonna have a more deeper discussion about this when I start to talk about the various states, so you'll know and what I've experienced. And this is why I say never listen to anybody who is considered kind of famous or a very known influencer or something like that. And don't listen to them when they say they go out to various states, because the thing is they're known, they're famous in a sense. So people are gonna treat them in a certain way and treat them good and treat them this and that. In reality, motherfuckers, when you go out and you're not known like that and you go to these very southern states, the whole southern hospitality is bullshit. There's no such thing as southern hospitality. They say that people in LA are fake and this and that. Motherfucker, come down to the South. It's no different. Matter of fact, it's more worse because then you become an outcast. If y'all want to know why I say this, I damn near made a video when I was out here, and I'm not gonna tell you yet until I start doing the various states that I've been to. But I made a video literally talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, that individuals will especially foundational black Americans, will literally treat every non-black person that comes to their sector or state or group where they know each other like they're God's green gift to earth. They will treat them so well, treat them, these are all non-black person, but a black person then comes to it, they will treat them as if they're suspicious and all this other stuff. It's on my YouTube. It's a short. So you'll see, it's pretty much like a picture of a bunch of hollow type people, and then one white hollow person that's the one walking in between. It looks like a crosswalk. And you look at that video, I'll tell you, that was the time period in which I started to experience that in this location that I'm currently at. So I'll have a video talking about that. As for everything else, pretty much I have nothing else. I noticed that it's especially around my age group, and yes, I'm gonna let you know my age eventually. My age group, there is just a bunch of single mothers who made all the wrong choices, who kept going for the wrong choices. Weed smokers, cigarette smokers, druggies, and this is black females, tattoo motherfuckers, and and whatnots, and either overweight type individuals. And it's like, okay, now I'll even explain my situation later on, but I'll do that later on. And by any chance, if any of y'all can let me know what does the crown and the crown head and the hashtag one crown head, hashtag three mean? I don't know. Seeing I don't know what it means. If y'all want to say or put it on there. Anyway, it's been damn near half an hour of me just talking specifically about those topics. And I know I jumped and whatnot, but yeah, that's it for now. Next time I go on, it's gonna be more towards the states that I've been to and the reception that I got from all these states, and knowing that, like I said, if you're not a somebody, I mean, famous or known, or if you go to these states and if you don't tell your family, because this is what I do. The states that I went to um, is pretty much the states in which I have family at, and I don't allow my family to know I'm coming to the state. I go to it to kind of get an experience of what it is like being out there without nobody knowing you're there, meaning family know you're there. And what I've realized is all these states are shit. And they, even in Memphis, I realized when in Memphis, they literally talked about us in California saying we're demonic and whatnot. And I'm like, motherfucker, y'all are some demonic motherfuckers here if you want to talk about the whole demonic. I'm not religious, I'm not Christian, but I know the difference. And I was out there and I'm like, if you're literally talking about California, then motherfucker, y'all can't really say much to say anything because you're the same way. No difference. But anyway, I'm gonna have that conversation when I decide to have that conversation about the various states, and you'll get to see what I see and what I experience. I think with that topic, I'm gonna have more of a kind of written down. I might do it like verbal essay, so I might write an essay to kind of and whatnot, and I'm gonna just read off the essay, and I may branch off the essay every so often. But I'm gonna do that for the various states I've been to, so y'all get to see that, motherfucker. Unless you somebody, these motherfucking states will treat you like shit. They'll either treat you invisible or they'll treat you like shit. And the whole Southern hospitality is a load of bullshit. They only recently tried to change that because they is that, but ultimately come out here unannounced and whatnot and try to fit in. You'll start to see. And if they start to change it now, then it's because they either start to realize, oh, we've been this way, blah, 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 to others. Now let's try to change it. I remember talking to this one girl. I can't say where she was because I am going to talk about the various girls that I spoke to throughout this time period. Um, but she does tarot. She did a tarot reading, and she pretty much said that in her tarot reading, she said, I'm an individual who sought the truth, who's a truth seeker, which is hilarious because throughout the years I have been seeking truth, And thus, when I find it and I see what it is, then after that, you try to change up, then I already know your actual nature. It's like, okay, this is what y'all fucking nature is. So now I know everything from here on out is some BS. And thus, you're gonna have to prove to me otherwise that it's not. But pretty much, I know it's some BS. Anyway, it's over 30 minutes now, it's 40. So I'm gonna end this live stream. Hope you tuned in. I'll make it public so y'all can look at it or review it, whatever. But peace. How do I end it?